Well, hello and welcome everybody to episode 2 of the Endless podcast. I'm Andrew Lee. I'm the Endless test pilot, and I'm here with my favorite friend, Brad. How you doing?
Hey, Andrew. How are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
be
great.
here.
So good to see you. Today's episode is all about the Endless 90. We're really going to dive into the history, the story, the design philosophy behind this frame. Brad, it's our most popular frame by a huge margin, probably.
Yeah.
I'd say, and whenever I'm recommending frames to people, the Endless 90 is kind of my go-to. It's such a versatile frame, both the 4x90 rocket setup and the 3x110, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
But before we do, we got some Endless news to talk about, right?
Yeah. Let's say hi to some people here. I noticed some people here in the chat.
All right.
Hey, Daniel, and Bruna's here. She finally made it home from Brazil. So welcome home. Wyco Booster, what's up? Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll kick this off. We'll just let's cover what's new with Endless.
What's new, Brad?
So, we got these guys. So we finally got the new graphics on the 90 millimeter wheels in black, and I think these are almost sold out. So I've already placed a new order for more of these and more white ones. We also have 84 millimeter coming in all the new colors. So we'll have white, pink, neon yellow. Did I order black? I can't remember if I ordered black on this run. And then we also have the 100 millimeter wheels in the neon yellow coming as well. So hopefully we'll have some of those in the store in a few weeks. What's up, Jorge?
And we have somebody, Emre Ni, delaying watching the new Star Wars Ahsoka. That's a very high honor. We appreciate that.
I'm going to watch that later tonight. So thank you for reminding me.
And no spoilers in the chat.
Yeah, no spoilers.
And so, Brad, these colors are really, really popping here. What was kind of the choice for you in deciding to go with these really bright neon yellows, neon pinks? I know you're always kind of a retro guy, but, why not do the classic gray or, smoke or something like that?
Okay, this is my answer, Andrew. Come on, look at this hotness. I mean, need we say more?
That pops so much, yeah.
So, incredible. So I grew up in the 90s. That's when I started rollerblading. And I remember, so my first skates were these Lightning TRSs, and they kind of had this like blue and kind of brownish colorway. That was probably mid 90s. But prior to that, the model that I lusted after had like purple, like a neon green and like a teal color. And so, yeah, when I was picking the colors for the wheels, I really wanted to kind of like capture that 90s retro aesthetic and stay true to the Endless branding at the same time. So basically, yeah, so that's why we've got the neon pink, the neon yellow. Obviously, black and white are kind of standards, really popular.
Yeah, and now we know for sure, right, that there'll be Endless wheels. Oh yeah, we have TS asking in the chat.
Yeah. We got the 84 millimeter coming in yellow, so stay tuned for that. What did Wyco Booster say? He set up the yellow and pink mix on the Octopus frames with the white FR1. Oh, I think I saw that. I think I saw that on Instagram. That your skate looked good. So great job.
Yeah, the white FR1 really makes everything pop. Would be super cool to offer the white Endless FR1 in the future, but
we got to get. Yeah, we got to get FR to sell us a boot only version.
Yeah.
So okay. Jim, welcome. Jim from Rerolling Inline. Everyone should go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Jim, we got you covered, man. They're coming. So we've got the pink and the yellow coming for your arc. I know that the pink is your daughter's favorite.
Next color request.
Neon green. I've thought about it. There's another color I want to do first, though. So we'll make a note of that one, Andrew.
Yeah, sounds great. And we also have some new Mercury stuff coming on the way. Lots of people asking about the Bill Stoppard shower, you know, he's really been showing off the Mercury frame and the pool shots. And so we got some new Mercury on the way, right?
Yeah, we'll have more 80s and 90s in Mercury. I think for the first time ever, I've got some Trinity, maybe the Trinity 84s and the Trinity 90s in Mercury. I should probably look and see what I ordered before people like hold me to it. But we definitely have more ARC frames, both ARC, we'll have the ARC ES in Mercury, which I don't think we had before. We only had just ARC and ARC UFS. So yeah, lots more Mercury on the way. What else? What else is new? Oh, we've got a top secret new thing we're gonna announce hopefully in a few weeks. So if everybody, so stay tuned for that. We've got some really cool, innovative new tech in that'll be associated with that launch. So I'm really excited to reveal that to you. So yeah, keep watching our social media.
And like all of so many Endless products, right? This is something, Brad, that's been under the works for quite a long time.
This is definitely the longest development for any product we've had to date. And that's partly because we've been a bit fussy, haven't we?
We're getting it right. I mean, we are dialing this thing in. I think it's, you know, it's gone through a lot of kind of iterations, but I think it's super cool what it's turned out to be. And I think it's going to be a standout frame for a lot of our customers.
Yeah, with a signature colorway too. That's
never been seen before and looks fantastic. Yeah.
Looks effing great. Yeah.
It looks really good. Yeah. So we're excited to share all those new products with you guys, and really excited with what we have in the works. Again, just watch out in the next few weeks for a big drop on the Endless socials. That's right. Keep your eyes on it. That's right, Bruno. But Brad, I think it's time, talk about really the store of the Endless 90, which was, not only our currently and has been for some time our best-selling frame at Endless, but also was the first frame, right? And has a lot of kind of history and was really, honestly, the reason it sounds like that Endless really started in the first place was this frame.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a big reason why I started the brand. So I was digging. So as before we went live, I was telling you, I really started to dig into some of the history today. I was trying to get dates right and figure out when I did what. And I was going back through photos and some files. And I think to kick this off, the first thing to talk about is why 4x90? What was the inspiration behind that frame in particular? So we're going to do a little show and tell here.
The presentation, I can't wait.
Yeah, let's. So maybe Andrew needs to be on the screen. Maybe we'll do it like this so it's big.
Perfect.
So I bought this skate in 2008. This is the Rollerblade Speed Machine 6.0, and it had a 285 millimeter wheelbase frame, all aluminum, 165 mount, 4x90. This was like pure Air Jordan, I bought this skate from my local skate shop called Black Diamond Sports in Palo Alto, here where we live, in 2008 for $269. And before that, I had been skating 4x80 on another rollerblade boot. And when I got this thing, man, it felt so fast to me and so smooth. And I skated this skate probably for a good maybe 4 to 6 years before I upgraded to something else. But in 2018, it looks like in about August of 2018, I dug this boot out of my garage, and I decided to skate it. And I remember when I went, so I had these, let's see here. You can see these wheels. These are actually the wheels that I had on for a long time. There were these MPC Road War wheels, extra firm. So they might've been like 84A. They were pretty worn. So I put these wheels on and it had a pretty good natural rocker. And I just remember cruising on the street and just feeling like so fast and so this sense of freedom. I was really cruising and I just was like, this is the best feeling ever. So I brought the skate home. What I did was I decided to clean them up. I don't know if you can notice, but in the year 2018, I was not feeling the Michael Jordan vibe. So I got a black paint pen and I decided to make it a little darker looking. And I also took some steel wool and polished up the frames. They had these, these hideous graphics on the side. And I promptly got rid of those. So there's a picture of like when I just finished spiffing up the frame here.
Yeah, squeaky clean.
Yeah, and I got these neon green laces, and yeah, this was the setup. And I skated this around. I was like, this thing is so great. Not too soon after that, February of 2019, I acquired an FR1 boot. I got a red FR1, which you've probably seen me skate, Andrew. And I decided to mount the frames and these wheels on the FR1. So here's that setup. And when I had this configuration, I just was like, oh, this is the shit. Like, I love this. And I'd been skating like basically like a 4x110 frame on like a high-end fitness boot around this time. But this just was like something else.
Well, because for all the spoiled skaters these days, right? Like you grew up skating, the smallest wheels imaginable, right? Like 72 millimeter wheels,
Yeah,
no core.
yeah.
And so, and also, right, the aggressive people had kind of the monopoly on this hard shell boot. And so a lot of the, recreational skate boots were, kind of the softer shell. So I imagine the energy transfer and big wheels is such a sweet spot and such a great experience.
Yeah, Daniel nailed it. Yeah, it is a sweet spot frame. And so at that time, what was interesting was there really wasn't many offerings on the market for a 4x90 setup like this. Our friend Cecil that we skate with, he really wanted a 4x90 setup. This would have been 2018, and he ended up buying a Seba GT, which came 4x90. But other than that, I was looking through the Rollerblade catalog in 2019. They offered, they had a Macro Blade 4x84, and then they had the Maxim Edge 90, which was 4x90. And that was literally like the only 4x90 skate on the market at that time. Looks like Jim's asking if we go back to these guys. This was not carbon. It was what they called FiberTech. Let me just see here.
Probably fiberglass or maybe
it was like a fiberglass. Yeah. Right. But it kind of was stiff like carbon. So yeah. Let's see. What is Hans Stolo say?
Yeah. Just want to cruise on some endless 90s.
Yeah, hell yeah. So anyway, I skated this in February of 2019, and it was like a total epiphany. And so I decided that kind of like left an imprint in my brain compared to what I had been skating. And so the last thing in this slide deck I want to show everybody, I was also skating 3x110. I had a Flying Eagle Supersonic frame that I had mounted. The skates I had before these FR1s were some Powerslide Imperials, and they didn't fit well. So I ended up selling them and replacing them with the FR1s. But I don't know if you guys can see this. I was skating at night. I tripped on a curb, and I literally bent the frame. You can see that front wheel is kind of cocked to the side. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this should not happen. Like, frames should just not bend. And so I had these two thoughts in my head. I was like, I want a 3x110 frame that's really, rigid and indestructible. And I also want this 4x90 experience that's super nimble and agile and still really smooth. And so the idea hit me like, why don't I combine the two together into one frame? And then I'll have my ultimate frame, which would allow me to skate on the trails with the 3x110 setup, or, skate around more of a, city urban environment with the 4x90. So in March of 2019, I began to start modeling up some designs in CAD. And so this is one of the very first, I think this might have been from the first production run. I was looking for my prototype frames. This one, it looks like it was never skated. So I must have had this for like some photos or something as a B stock. I think Cecil has the first prototype, or I might have given it away to Justin, which is kind of dumb. Like, why would I give away my first Endless 90? But what I do have is this is the very first pink frame that I ever made. This was an Endless 90. Yeah, the prototype that I did in pink. So to date, current production Endless 90s are a Rev E frame. So there's 5 revisions of the Endless 90. I was looking at some of my notes. It looked like revisions A, B, and C were all for the prototypes. They were before we went into production. I made a bunch of revisions during that time. Rev D was the first production frame, and it had the most changes. I beefed up some things, changed like some slot dimensions for better compatibility with the mounting bolts, changed the internal cutouts. It looks like I tweaked the frame height a little bit, probably to give a little more clearance on that frame bolt, and also for probably clearance to the boot on the center 110 millimeter wheel. And then I was also tweaking the countersink dimensions on the axles. And then finally Rev E, which happened, I think, a few months into production, made that final revision. Again, tweaked the countersunk dimensions and just had a couple minor changes. And basically ever since, we haven't changed it. So variants, maybe we should.
Yeah, let's dive into that, right? Because I think one of the things that you did really well in the design is think about the different foot sizes, the different experiences. I remember maybe our first conversations where the ES was kind of born, right? We were talking about some of our customers with bigger skate sizes, talking in the US 12, EU 45, things like that and up. And our go-to answer before was really the Endless 100, right? It's like, oh, if you have a big enough foot, just skate the Endless 100. It's got the big wheel experience. That's just what you have to do. But we found that, a lot of people really wanted, like you said, that sweet spot of the 4x90 experience because, it's got the lower ride height. It's a little bit more agile in the sense that you don't have to accelerate these kind of larger 100 millimeter wheels. And so I remember us kind of chatting about it and trying to figure out exactly how we could bring that 4x90 experience in a more stable way to some of our big-footed skaters.
Yeah, and like going back to that Speed Machine setup, it had a lot of the 4x90 frames on the market right now are all 273 millimeters. They basically have like a 1 millimeter gap between the wheels. Our frame has a wheelbase of 276, and that's partly because I just want a little extra breathing room, and also that worked. Why did I do that? Honestly, actually, I can't remember why I picked that number. There's probably
maybe it sounded good, or
I think I probably was just like, oh, I'm going to add an 2 millimeters space between the wheels.
Right.
But whatever.
It
That's
could also be the bolt clearance potentially in terms of trying to minimize the ride height, right?
Yeah, it could have been the bolt clearance. But with the Endless 90, I ended up choosing. So this is, the 90 ES. I ended up choosing 291, which sits halfway in between the Endless 100 and the Endless 90. Let's see if I can give everyone a sense of scale. Yeah. So I don't know if that's obvious, but it's slightly, there we go.
Nice. Yeah.
It's slightly shorter. Right? And so, this is basically a size 42 boot. And so I tend to like my frame a little longer than the boot. But yeah, definitely for anybody size 44 and up, we've been recommending this. And then I would say anything, if you're a size 42, you should consider this if you tend to like longer frames. And so for me, like this is the setup I use when I trail skate or when I am feeling lazy, when we all skate together and I just want to roll more than I'm pushing. But yeah, everything's the same in terms of the frame. It's just slightly longer.
Right.
And so
Brad, did you have to modify the rocker or think about that to make it feel the same, or wasn't much adjustment needed there?
I actually kept the rocker identical.
Okay.
And my thinking was I did want it to have a little more stability.
Right.
The Endless 90 feels a little more playful because it's not only just a little bit shorter, but because of that same absolute rocker amount, it's going to feel, I mean, these are all subtle differences, but it's technically going to feel a little more rockered.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Endless, looks like the Endless 90 ES was released in December of 2021. But prior to that, we launched in early 2021. In the spring of 2021, we released our Trinity frames. And so we had the Endless 90 Trinity, which what I wanted to do was bring the 165 experience to Trinity with the exact same ride height, same dimension, same wheel spacing, everything.
Right.
So this obviously is 4x90, 3x110. But then, with Trinity, because you've got the mounts on either side of the wheel, you don't have that, one of the challenges is 165 is that front bolt just sits right above this wheel. So it kind of drives ride height. And so 4x90, it's like the worst.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do was do the Endless 90 LR. That this came out December of 2021. And this guy is 6 millimeters lower ride height than the Endless 90 Trinity. However, there's no 3x110 setup. It's got 3x100. This was actually the first Endless frame to feature an enhanced flat setup. So the 3x100 setup has a very small micro rocker.
Right.
So it allows it to still be agile if you're skating through the city, but you get, the bigger, the faster speed from the 3x100.
Yeah, and more or less it feels like a flat setup, but where your wheels have been skated, a few sessions, just that slight wear in that feels really nice.
Yeah. I did a lot of, I was taking measurements off of my 3-wheel setups to figure out how much rocker that enhanced flat setup would be. So it was like, I would skate, the 3x110 on the Endless 90. And then if it was feeling really good that day, I would come home and I would measure it. And I just kept some notes that I used to inform that rocker for the enhanced flat. So let's see, what else? So then there's one more frame I'll mention, but I think I will go into the details of this in a future episode because it really deserves its own show. And that's the Endless 90 UFS frame.
Right.
And this, of course, has the flat UFS mount. This was our first UFS frame. And has some unique features, but I'm going to save this one for another day.
Yeah, I think the UFS came from a totally different kind of design sphere as well, because really the Trinity 90 and even the 90 LR are direct ports of that 90 experience that you crafted since the beginning. But the UFS is its whole other beast with the rocker axles, the slider, the extra stiffness, designing for kind of the aggressive skater. It's a really different frame. I mean, I just want to highlight one thing too. Before we get to It's About questions here in the chat, is that you were predicting, people talking about ride height, something that's mentioned a lot in kind of the skating sphere. And so you really wanted to push the boundaries on that LR and say, because Trinity was touted as this lower ride height system. And it really is because of that second wheel. And so you pushed it, right? This is, by far the lowest 90 millimeter 4x90 frame on the market, without a doubt, in terms of ride height. And you can see just holding it, how thin the frame looks, kind of even relative to the other 90s there.
Yeah, here's the other one.
It's just so low. Right. It just looks.
Yeah, it's like, it's quarter of an inch lower. So it's not only lower because of that, but it's lighter. So it's just going to be a more like a slightly faster experience, just from the less frame weight. Let's get into some of these 90 related questions. So it's Abu asks us, what can I use the ES or normal? He's a size 43.5. Mm-hmm. I would say for 43.5, I'd probably recommend that you use the ES, but you're kind of right on the cusp. So if you like a frame that is a little more compact and doesn't have as much wheel protrusion, then the Endless 90 will still be fine. Because again, it's the wheelbase is 276 millimeters, which is exactly the length of your foot. Mm-hmm. But I'd probably recommend the ES for you.
Yeah.
TS says the Trinity LR is amazing. Thank you. We think so too. Let's see. Bruna asks, the 90 works you can definitely use the 90 for a size 37. I would say that's probably equivalent to me skating this one. It's going to be, you're going to have some wheel protrusion. But yeah, if you are feeling comfortable and you have a small foot, you could skate the 90. So TSS, was there any thought or reason behind not including micro rocker for three-wheel mode prior to LR? I really wanted the three-wheel setups to be flat because I really liked the speed and stability that I get from the flat. I like to refer to our three-wheel setups as kind of medium length.
Right.
Here's an Endless 90 with three wheels on it. That's not quite marathon length, but it's definitely not like, what you see from companies like FR and Rollerblade or Powerslide, with, really short.
Right.
And so you get a lot of push and power transfer when you have that flat setup. And if when I'm doing a lot of distance skating or trail skating, it's like, I'm not really looking for super maneuverability.
Right.
So I didn't really think about it. I knew I wanted it to be flat.
All right. Jim says, just need FR to make a Trinity boot. Probably not going to happen with the patent on the Trinity mount, but who knows?
Yeah. That's true. You can't. Yeah. This is the regular Trinity 90, and these are 84 millimeter wheels. No, these are 80 millimeter wheels that I've got loaded in here.
Right.
Probably shouldn't cover up my face, huh? People always ask us, can they use wheels that are smaller than what the frame is advertised for? You can always go smaller. I've been known to skate 4x76 on the Endless 90.
Hundreds.
On the 100, well, the 100.
Maybe 4x80 on the 100.
Yeah, on the 90s I did 4x76.
Yeah.
Let's see, Andrew. Let's see if we can get through some of these.
Yeah.
Endless 90 Mercury. I don't have an exact date for you, but they've been in production since the spring. I know my vendor usually takes a little bit longer with the Mercury finishes. It's a little more difficult to do, and I have strict cosmetic requirements I always want them to adhere to. So I'm hoping something's going to be ready within the next month, but I'll definitely keep everyone posted.
All right. So since Endless came out, lots of other big wheel options have also come to the market, not just from frame companies, but skate companies too. Is that frustrating, validating, or both? What do you think, Bryn?
I think it's been validating for the most part. I mean, if everybody's, kind of following our lead, then I guess that says we're doing something right. We're making something that people want. I think, we tapped into something. When I first made these frames, I was making them for my friends. I wasn't making them because I wanted to, I had these grand visions of starting a skate company. I really wasn't thinking about that at all. I was just thinking, I want my friends to have a good skating experience. I'm a mechanical engineer. I know how to design stuff. Let me just make this stuff. And I will say, and maybe Jim can chime in here, there was a lot of people early on that dismissed the 3-wheel setups, and they were like, we're never going to skate that.
Yeah.
Like this is just, they're just throwing this in. It's a waste. Nobody's going to use it. But Jim from Rerolling Inline was one of those people, and he put out a really good video, basically admitting that he underestimated that setup. So everybody should go watch that video. If you have doubts about the 3-wheel setup or you have not yet tried yours, I highly recommend it.
But Jim, don't worry, you're not the only one. I know David from D Skates on YouTube also had a pretty similar experience, and now really touts the values of the 3x110.
Yeah.
So,
I would say, as far as frustration goes, the only thing that's frustrating is to see. I want inline skating to grow, and I think for it to grow and for people and for there to be innovation, I feel like everybody needs to be bringing their A game and contributing something innovative or novel or unique to the best of their abilities. And if we're all just going to follow the leader, then we're not going to really see that innovation and competition that's going to make the industry grow. So, so that's frustrating when it's like, I want others to just do their best work and not, just be you.
No thoughtless copycats. Yeah, do something. Do something new. Yeah,
do something unique and awesome, and then let's all celebrate it.
Yeah.
Size
we get
41.
We get this question quite a bit in our.
Yeah, why don't you take this one, Andrew?
Customer service. Yeah, recommendations for boot size 41, 90 in ARC, CSES, etc. Yeah, whenever I have people come to me and ask between the 90 and the ARC frames, I think it really comes down to, what type of skating you're to be doing. I think the Endless 90 is just an all-around, Swiss Army knife of an urban frame, of a city frame, of a free skate frame. It's got, the great mix of speed and maneuverability, and really the 3x110, is great for that long distance. But if you're going to be swiveling, if you're, a big flatland kind of wizard style skater, I don't think the ARC can be beat, right? It's just, it feels so good. The pivots are, so I think perfectly placed compared to the 90. Not that you can't do wizard stuff on the 90, but the ARC frame kind of is the flatland swivel frame. It's also a great urban option. Brad, I know you've had a lot of people reach out about how great the ARC is at urban stuff too.
Yeah, I think Jim made a video of that for his Rerolling Inline channel.
But what would you say for 41, Brad? Yeah.
For 41, I mean, it really depends. We have the frame recommendation quiz on the website. I would recommend that, Robert, that you go take that quiz. It'll ask you a bunch of questions, your foot size, the skating styles, some of your skating preferences, and it'll spit out some recommendations for you. But I agree with everything Andrew said. What was I going to say about I can't remember. Maybe it'll come back to me later. But yeah. That I would do. Yeah. If you've got a size 44, I would do the ES. As far as the ES being available in Mercury, we have not had that to date, but I might have ordered some. I'm not sure, but if we get them, I'll let everybody know. Yeah. Yeah, Trinity 90 Mercury, Bruna, is coming. So hold your horses.
So excited.
Oh, this is an interesting question. So could we put 95 millimeter wheels? Would they fit the frame? What is, you'd have to do the math. Anybody have a calculator? What is that? What's 3 times 95?
I think the clearance, right, probably...
It's going to hit the frame bolt. Yeah, I think the spacing might potentially be okay, but it's going to hit the frame bolt. So in that case, no, we would not.
But Brad, would you ever consider making those?
No. No. Yeah. I mean, we could. I mean, you have to. If you make a new wheel size, you have to get molds made, so that can be expensive to do.
It's also really hard to go against the established norms in the skate community.
Hey, Jose, good to see you here. Okay, so if you're coming from an Endless 100, what would be the biggest difference you'll notice? In the I'll start with the 3x110 setup. If you're skating 3x110, it's going to be a little bit shorter, so it might be a little more manageable in terms of overall length. You're going to get a slightly lower ride height for the 3x110 setup. But I think you're going to notice the biggest difference in skating 4x90. It's going to feel a little faster to accelerate. Overall frame, like complete setup length, is going to be shorter. And it's not going to have the same cruise factor that the 4x100 has. That seems to, like, you can coast a little easier. But the 90s might feel a little more playful.
Yeah, I agree with all that, Brad. And then the other thing I'll add too that comes up a little bit is also the weight. So the Endless 90 will be a little bit lighter overall in general. And so, especially if you're doing jumps or any of that sort of thing, you'll feel that there too.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, I should point out is the 90 and the 90S are both 165 millimeter compatible, whereas the Endless 100 is 180 millimeter mount. So you'll have more boot mounting options. Let's see. TS says he's a 44, has a 90. The ARC's now CS curious. Yeah, we will in the future plan to do an ARC CS episode. We're going to do one for the ARCs probably next month. So stay tuned for that one. Oh, interesting. Any plans on making a frame plus wheel color picker on the website? You can kind of do that right now. The way the website's set up, you can, go to the Endless 90 page and then you can pick, there's a bundle option and you can pick the wheels and the wheel color. So it's kind of there, I'd say. 285 millimeters. Yes, that's what it was. All right, let's see. Do you have another color, red, yellow, white? We have neon yellow and white wheels. If you're asking about frames, the Endless 90 UFS is the only frame that comes in white currently, and we don't have any red or yellow frames.
Great.
All right, so let's go. So we got a bunch of questions on Instagram.
Yeah, we did.
So when I posted the announcement for the live stream, I asked people to write in with their questions. So let's throw this up.
Yeah, let's take a look.
We go through some of these. So why don't you kick it off here, Andrew?
Sure. Yeah. Do have a trade-in scheme. Got the original 90 frames before the RB version came out from Sam Holland. Sam, we don't currently have a trade-in scheme. Endless frames are luckily pretty popular. So we know lots of customers have had success kind of selling in their local skate circles. But unfortunately, no trade-ins at this time. It's actually, unfortunately, a little difficult to sell, especially on the Endless website, some pre-skated frames that have been scratched or kind of mucked up. But, yeah. All right, Brad, how about you take this next one?
Yeah. So William asked, how heavy is the 90 ES? I'm just looking this up right now. You can always go to the product pages and click the features tab. You'll get all the specs of the frame. This frame is 310 grams without spacers and axles. Yep. All right. So going down the list here.
Dover, do they get wobbly when going fast?
So you skate the Endless 80 and you go pretty fast. So why don't you take this one?
Yeah, sure. I'm a size 43. I skate the Endless 84 because I think that frame is awesome on a Trinity Evo boot. That particular frame, the 84s, it doesn't get wobbly in any way. I've never had speed wobbles on Endless frames, but it does get a little twitchy. We have this really giant hill behind where we like to skate a lot. That's not my favorite configuration to skate down that hill on, but it's still doable. Once you get, I think, honestly, past the Endless 90s, you're honestly in pretty good shape. And any of the flat setups, so as Brad mentioned, almost all of our three-wheel setups are flat. All of those feel super stable, even really high speeds. Haven't had any issues with those. So if you're doing lots of hill bombing, would probably recommend maybe one of the 3 wheels, but even on the 4 wheels, it'll feel pretty good.
All right. So ABM Costa asks, not specific to the 90s, but why no cutouts or holes on the sides of the frame to reduce weight? So that is an excellent question. I'm going to pop up our picture here. So here, going back to the Speed Machine, you can see Rollerblade had some cutouts. There's two reasons why we did this. This is actually an excellent question. Number one, you get a significant strength and stiffness improvement in the frame from not having the sidewalls cut out. It basically acts as a big shear wall. And yeah, Daniel says the cutouts might be why they bent. No, seriously, that is a perfect example. If you pull up a picture of the Flying Eagle Supersonic frame, they're very sleek. They kind of have a minimal amount of material. And like when I bought them, I was attracted to that kind of sleekness, but there was not enough material there to make them rigid enough to counteract that giant bending moment I put into the frames when I tripped over the curb like an idiot. But anyway, yeah, you get a bunch of shear strength. I mean, it increases the moment of inertia about specific axes. The frame just rides better. It also, when we originally designed the frames, I was kind of thinking forward, and I was like, this is a huge artistic canvas for either color, like we've got the Endless 90 in pink here, or like the Octopus frames that we recently released, or like the camo frames, which were our first art frame. It just serves as a nice big canvas. I mean, there's no denying that when you see this skate coming down the street, that looks so much cooler to me than, I don't know, something that's all cut up like Swiss cheese.
Right.
So, for me, it's all about balance aesthetically. And so I feel like the boot, the frame, the wheels, they all should be into proportion to one another in terms of their kind of size and I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but just, it's like you don't want to skate that's all frame, and you don't want to skate that's all wheels, is kind of how I think about it.
No, I think you nailed the aesthetics for sure.
Yeah. So Wyco Booster is saying holes means it acts like a truss for up and down gravity loads, but terribly for horizontally induced. Yeah, basically, you lose. You just, the simplified answer is you just lose some rigidity and stiffness, and you do feel that in the way the frame responds when you're skating. You feel it when you're on a deep edge or when you're pushing. So yeah, that's, I think, a long-winded answer to that question. I'm going to go back to our questions here.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So Patrick Jones is asking, does it feel different on 165 versus Trinity mount due to ride height? Likely being lower on Trinity. So this is the kind of unveiling the curtain. Trinity ride height in general is not, it's a little bit lower, but it's not a crazy amount lower. If you skate the Endless 90 on 165, you skate the Endless 90 on Trinity, just the regular Endless 90, you won't really feel a huge ride height difference. I have found personally that the double or the kind of wing mounting on the front of the Trinity feels a little more maybe stable or like more responsive, and that you have more contact points to the boot. But the benefit of Trinity isn't necessarily utilized on all their frames. And it's not until you get to really, like the 90 LR, where you really push the frame up and into that kind of, wheel well that you get the benefit. So you'll feel it on the 90 versus the 90 LR. But really, I think that one of the bigger benefits of Trinity, at least for me, is the responsiveness.
Yeah. All right. So Padu asks, how do I import to Brazil? We ship worldwide. So you basically will choose the shipping option you want at checkout. You will be responsible. If you live outside the US and you order from us from our website, you will always be responsible for paying the customs and import duties and whatever taxes that your country might impose. And usually if we ship it via DHL or UPS, they will contact you when the package is en route and request that you pay that before they will deliver the package.
Yeah.
I guess we can go to the Wong dude.
Yep.
So this is a good question. Why isn't there an RB90 for easier time centering? So the reason why, so we have an Endless 100 RB frame, and that was because I chose to make the Endless 100 frame with 180 millimeter mounting, and that is not really I would say it's not a standard mounting. But if you've got a boot like an FR1 that has a 7-hole mount, you can attach using the holes that are spaced 180 millimeters. The reason I did that is because it moved the front mounting bolt away from that second wheel and allowed me to get the frame basically 4 millimeters lower than if I had just done 165 millimeter mounting. So there was a lot of people that were kind of left out that had boots that were only 165 mounting. They wanted a 4x100 setup.
Right.
So I made that at the expense of ride height. So it's 4 millimeters taller.
Right.
So the Endless 90 will fit fine on a Twister boot or any rollerblade boot. Oops, I'm just going to go solo here, Andrew.
Yeah, there we go.
The rollerblade is historically, I'm going to turn it like this so I can see you guys. Rollerblade has historically mounted their frames just slightly biased forward. I mean, it basically looks centered. So I don't think there's no reason to do anything special. I mean, I skate this all the time. It feels great. If you were to measure it, it might feel just a little bit more towards the front than the back, but it's kind of a non-issue.
Yeah, and in general, right, we actually find that more people prefer the kind of lateral mounting slots to adjust their stride a little bit as opposed to the front and back. But
yeah. All right. So we covered the 95 millimeter wheel question.
Thanks for coming in, Marco.
Yeah. Sasha asked, what are the differences? I think we covered those earlier on.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we've got a question here. Any chance of a 90 125 millimeter version instead of the current 110? No. I mean, you can ride that right now. If you get the Endless 100 RB, you can fit 3x125
on most boots.
Yeah. No, that one will fit.
Okay. Yeah.
That one will fit. So anyway, you could stick 4x90 on that frame if you wanted. It would just be unreasonably tall, I think.
And I think this goes in the last question too, Brad. Yeah. Is it possible to lower the height of I assume what is the regular Endless 90s, like the 90 LR, or is it impossible?
So yeah, let's talk about ride height. There is a common misconception that somehow we've compromised the ride height. So let me bring up my skate here. There's this misconception that somehow this has to be really tall in order to fit this in the same setup. And it's actually false. I was able to optimize both for the 4x90 ride height and the 3x110 ride height. It's hard to see here, but if you guys can look in there, that second wheel I was looking at the model like a week or two ago. I was having a conversation with somebody, and my design clearance was 0.6 millimeters from my frame bolt in my model to that second wheel. I think it's probably a little bit more than that, but it's ridiculously close to that bolt. And so it's as low as it's going to be for 4x90. And then with the 3x110 setup, I don't know if you guys can see this, that center wheel is it's up in there. On an FR1, the clearance to the boot is like maybe 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters. On this Twister, it's like literally inside. It's like up in that little well.
Yeah.
So can it get lower? Going back to our question here. No, it literally can't. I think we have the lowest 4x90 frame on the market. The only way you would be able to get it any lower is if you made some kind of special crazy frame bolt or made your frame like kind of weak at the mounting point, which you wouldn't want to do. But
Yeah,
it's not worth it for like a millimeter.
yeah, as low as it can get. That's the design philosophy.
Yeah,
It always has been.
yeah. So let's see here. All right. So I think we covered all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we got it all.
Yeah, let's see. Is there anything else we want to say about the history of the 90? I think that was everything. I really, thanks everyone for supporting, being so enthusiastic about the Endless 90. It's like Andrew said earlier, it's been one of our best selling products, and it's definitely changed the trajectory of our lives the last few years. So on that note, let's I think it's time for the next segment here, Andrew.
All right, let's do it. So last time Brad gave me the skate that doesn't exist, the Barbie skate, as our titular or hot or not section here. And now I got something fun for Brad.
I have not seen this.
This is the first time it's being revealed. We got our classic dragon coming in here for the hot or. All right. So,
so I'm going to rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 yeehaws.
That's right. And you've done a lot of talking about the rollerblade speed machine. As a Trinity fanboy, I want to present to you the Speed Machine 2.0. So here's my proposal for the hot or not section. No bias here. We've got the Trinity 90 LR. We've got some FR speed wheels here, I think. And we've got this really nice Power Slider Rise boot. Brad, what are your thoughts here?
This looks good. Ari Bortz, the stuttering skater, I think has some of these Arise boots, and he has said really good things. I think this setup overall looks really, really good. I'm curious about this boot. I probably would enjoy this for a distance skate. Just has a classic look. I like the little red accent there with the Power Slide logo is kind of nice. I'm clearly biased, but I think our Endless Trinity frames make Trinity boots look really good. You know what it is? It's the proportions. Like as I was saying earlier, it's this like the LR specifically, it's like not too much frame.
Yeah.
But it still looks really solid. The only thing that would take this frame over the top.
All right.
Is neon yellow wheels.
the classic retro fanboy. Yeah.
I'm gonna give this. I think I'm gonna have to give this one a solid 4 yeehaws.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. So this is from Pleasant Paul. About a year ago, posted this really beautiful setup. And like you said, Brad, all the love to Matthias and Power Slide, but our frames really do their boots justice, and I think really,
I think so.
really give them a good look. So that's our hot or not section.
All right. So what are we finishing up with here?
I think it's Q&A time. We've done a great job, I think, answering lots of questions throughout the evening here. I really appreciate everyone asking some really insightful questions, tuning in, and showing lots of support and love for the podcast. But yeah, I think we'll just leave some kind of empty space for any more questions that people have. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all.
Looks like Robert wants to know what are my thoughts on MPC versus Matter wheels. I love MPC wheels. So we partnered with MPC to make our 110 wheels. These things are great. If you guys haven't tried them, highly recommend. Matter, I have some Matter G13s. Those are like a speed speed wheel. They've got those like solid green hubs. I thought they were fine, but I like MPC better. There's something about the way the MPC urethane grips. So yeah, I would choose MPC over Matter for any type of distance or speed application. Any more UFS frames on the horizon? Yes. Maybe on the near horizon.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah. So I think if you guys have been paying attention closely to what Endless does, I don't really feel like, doing things that other people are doing. So I think you'll see something unique coming from us. So yeah, stay tuned on that front. Let's see what else. Let's see if we go back through the some of these older questions. Here's a good one from Bruna. Any intentions for 86A or 88A wheels? Not right now. We're pretty fond of the 85A. It seems to hit a nice sweet spot for people big and small, for a bunch of different styles. Kind of is like a nice, cushy, smooth ride, but still fast. So that's probably what we're going to stick with. But I don't like 88A.
Yeah, I've tried a few Power Slide 88A, and they're a little too hard for me. I think they slide really well, but
they're harsh.
Yeah, they're a little harsh, I think.
Yeah,
especially for longer distances or jumping or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think your body weight really plays a big part in the perception of how wheel feels. Like if you're a really light person, you can get away with an 84A wheel. It'll never wear down. Whereas if you're a big, heavy person, 88A might feel great. So yeah. Let's see. Here's one for you, Andrew.
Any more news about new art designs that you can speak about? Some fun ones in the works, but we can't talk about them just yet.
Yeah. Well, what we can talk about? Well, we're going to do one. So one of our good friends, actually, our friend Justin, Mr. Yeehaw himself.
It just never ends. Okay, I got
it. We're going to make him a custom art frame, but that's because he's going to pay me a bunch of money. So.
He's a little bit of an Instagram influencer himself. And he goes by the Dragon, of course, as we said before. So that'll be an exciting piece of artwork. Yeah, definitely.
But we do have other plans. Yeah. Speaking of the art frames, love the etching on the octopus frames. Yeah, thank you. You should really thank Stephanie Law. You should check out her Instagram page. Steffi Blading. She's a very good, talented skater and a very talented artist.
Yeah, she's wicked good.
Yeah. This is a good question. So TS asks about wheel profiles. So many bullet profiles. He's full and bullet, but full radius is limited choices. So Power Slide is the only one that makes the full radius. Or maybe, are you referring to round profile? Because there's lots of
different names that are slightly different.
Power Slide, or through Undercover, have a wheel profile called full, which is kind of like a squared off.
Yeah. Right. I think they're on the spinner wheels, maybe Matrix. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's on some of the smaller, like 80 and 76 millimeter Undercovers. But I've got I might have some round profile wheels in the works. So maybe later this year, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us too. We're all about the 85A. All right, let's see here. So round. Yeah, so I have been thinking about round. So stay tuned on that one.
Yeah, Daniel, I think hydrogens are pretty much exclusively bullet. Maybe at some of the smaller wheel sizes, they go to round full. but definitely at least the 84s and up are the bullet profile wheels in
And
general.
the 80s too, the hydrogen
80s
80s.
too, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in general, I think we probably you know, as a team, probably enjoy the bullet profile, you know, probably the most for general skating, but definitely see the benefit of some of those more round profiles, I think, in their uses. So excited to bring some.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can dig up some older questions here that we didn't answer. Oh, here's one. So any chance for an 84 millimeter with a smaller hub like the dead 80 millimeter? I'm not familiar with that. So here's my thoughts on small hubs. So maybe this will answer your question. Oops, this is backwards. This is our 76 millimeter cloud wheel and our 68 millimeter cloud wheel. I'm kind of a fan of bigger hubs, smaller tire, because they're faster. So when you have, I don't really have a good example, but these are the 80 millimeter luminous wheels. When you've got more urethane and a small core, you end up getting more urethane deflection, more wheel squish, and it just translates into a slower ride experience. It may feel more cushy, but it's slower. And
we've tried a few wheels like that I think, just felt a little bit on the slower side.
Yeah. Oh, the worst. Speaking of slow wheels, it was the Loco Revolver 100 millimeter, and I think it had a round profile. And I thought it was going to be cool,
right?
But then it was like fat tire 100 millimeter, and it was just so super slow, and I couldn't do it. Let's see, what else we got, Andrew? Oh, he's saying he doesn't want a small hub, but a medium hub. I think our 80 millimeters would qualify as that. It's basically a similar, I don't have an 80 millimeter wheel floating around here, but it's similar size to like the hydrogen 80 millimeter hub. So that would be the fattest tire wheel that we currently make.
All right, Brad, what about this question from Wyco again? You know, some of these metal wheels are making a comeback. Will you make anything with aluminum cores? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's expensive, and people need a bearing press to get the bearings in. And I haven't skated them myself. I get the appeal for like aggressive skating because the wheels are so damn small that they're slow because they're small. And so anything you can do to improve the speed is probably like a revelation. But I feel like I would just want to skate 110 millimeter wheels. Yeah. So, I've always had this, one of my, I don't know if I call it a design rule, but a design principle I've always adhered to with my commercial products that I make for both my companies is thou shalt not annoy. And I think an aluminum core wheel might be annoying for various reasons. So here's a question from Jorge about Endless 110 versus 125, which is faster? This is a good question. I think 125, you can hit a higher sustained top speed once you get up to speed. But it's kind of like if you've got like a road bike and you always are trying to ride around in the top gear, it's like impossible to get up to speed. And that was definitely my experience skating 3x125. I bought this 3x125 rollerblade frame for my old Tempest boots, and I thought it was going to be great, but it actually sucked because I wasn't strong enough to accelerate it. And so it felt like a mismatch for my anatomy. And it was taller, and I just couldn't accelerate it. So I don't know if anybody's seen Bill Stoppard. I think it might have been one of his recent YouTube videos or something he posted on Instagram. We sent him some Endless Arc CS frames with these smaller wheels, the 68 and the 76 millimeters. And he ended up getting a personal record on this for this. He likes to do sprints on this stretch of road. and he got the fastest speed he had, I think, he had ever recorded on that stretch. And it's because he could accelerate so quickly, you know? And so if all you're doing is like going from a dead stop and trying to get speed, like there's something to be said for having smaller wheels.
Definitely. And yeah, I think Jorge was talking about specifically endless frames, but I think Brad's comments.
I think it depends on you, the skater. If you are a freaking racehorse, then have that the 125. It's going to be heavier just because it's more. Well, that's not true. If you're on the endless 110 with 3x125, that's probably slightly lighter than 4x110. But yeah, it just depends on you and your technique and how strong of a skater you are. Yeah, and Jim makes a good point here. His speed is totally relative. It's totally a function of what you're doing. If you're, trying to maneuver in a city environment, stop with lots of stops and starts, something smaller, you might be faster. So that's why the 90 kind of hits a sweet spot. Jose says that every skater should have a bearing press. This is true. So we have been, as far as tools go, we carry the Sonic Sports Sonic skate tool.
Great tool.
It's actually our best-selling product in the store. We love their tools.
It's great.
I'm talking with the owner of Sonic about maybe doing a custom color skate tool. So that might happen next year.
Yeah.
But no bearing, the best deal if you want a bearing press is the Bont bearing press. I think it's like 60 or 70 bucks. You can order.
I don't know if we could really do it better, Brad.
No. So I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right. Should we, if that's all the questions, maybe we could, do we have a trivia question? Do we want to do a quick giveaway? Do you have one?
We could try one. I don't have any off the top of my head, but we could definitely come up with something.
Oh man. How are we going to make one up? All right, here's a question.
Okay. It's good. I'll put it as a banner. What do we got?
Okay. Question is, so whoever gets this first person, you need to message me on Instagram
at Endless Blading.
At Endless Blading. First person to DM me on Instagram with the answer will win a free t-shirt. We'll send you a coupon code that you can use at checkout. T-shirts shipped directly from our printer. So wherever you are in the world, we can get you a t-shirt. So here is the question.
All right.
What was the first color frame we released besides silver and black? Ready, set, go. I will have to check this after we sign off.
Let's do it. All right. What was the first color frame we released besides silver and black?
Yep. Yeah. DM us the answer on Instagram at Endless Blading. First person to get in the DMs with the correct answer gets a free t-shirt. Send you a discount code. Awesome. All right. I think that was a good episode. We went a little longer than we had planned, but lots of great questions. Hope that everybody maybe learned something about the design and inspiration of the Endless 90.
Yeah.
And, next month we'll talk about the arc frames. We'll do a deep dive. We might have some special guests to discuss the details of the arc development. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, exciting episode planned. And thanks again for everyone for tuning in. Really great to engage with you all. And I really appreciate all the great questions and comments.
Yeah, so on that note, we will see everybody next month, first Tuesday of next month, 6 p.m. Tuesday. So
all right.
Have a great rest of the week.
And happy skating.
Happy skating. See ya.